half an hour, 20 minutes. He then digs up the hole and he takes out all the dead rats in there. What does he do with these dead rats?
Eat them.
That's it. Scrubs off the fur, pot, ghee, bit of garlic, onion, and the chopped up rats in there. Makes a curry out of them. Go see for yourself. So a non-believer, does he have halal haram? Doesn't have halal haram. He eat anything. Anything. Even some countries before, they eat human beings. I saw the video, I'm not sure if it's true. They chopped up a human being. Wow, everybody was there. Took his hand, chopped it up, carefully, he skinned it, everything. Can a Muslim eat that? No. Some countries, they drink anything. For their medicine, they can eat pigs, they can eat porcupines, they can eat frogs, they can eat bats, anything. Anything for their medication. Can we do that? No. So this is like paradise for them. They have no limits, no boundaries. Anything can happen, anything goes. There's an American show, I don't want to say the name of it, because I don't want people to go check it out. There's an American show, and I have come to the conclusion that this show is just actors. You have people, a man married his daughter. A grandmother married her son, grandson. Look at that. You read this in a newspaper. Am I right? You read a newspaper. For us Muslims, I mean, we can't even fathom stuff like that. Can you fathom stuff like that? In Muslim society, that stuff doesn't happen. Or the people don't live to make it happen, should I say. But in some societies, any and everything goes. Any and everything goes. So this is like paradise for them. They have no restrictions. No restrictions in what they drink. I remember I saw in the newspaper this man and woman, they were given life sentences. Why were they given life sentences? This man used to allow the woman and her boyfriend to drink his blood for favors. Then one day they killed him. These people were like goths. They used to be into black magic and vampires and all that kind of stuff. They killed him. They stabbed him like 40 times. Forgive me for bringing this up in the masjid. I like to keep it real. So they stabbed him 40 times. I mean, one time was enough, wasn't it? You know what I mean? The guys on the street, you stab somebody once and that's it. No, 40 times. So for the non-believer, anything goes. If I could find somebody, I'll say to him, okay, I'll give you £10, let me drink your blood from a cup. I'm sure you'll find somebody who will say, okay, go for it. I've got you, fam. Drink away. They have no boundaries. As believers, can we do that? We are brought up to see that as being repugnant. That's something you can't fathom you can do. So we see that this dunya for us is like a prison. And for the disbeliever, it's like a paradise. And vice versa. That the next life for us is like paradise. And for them who disbelieve and go to the hellfire, it's worse than a prison. And so the believer understands then, places all this together, the material life. 1, it's a test. 2, it is nothing compared to the next life. 3, we need to be careful that we don't take this life to be a means to a means of itself, rather than a means to an end. The end being worship of Allah. 4, that this life is a prison for the believer anyhow. And another thing, looking at this hadith, who of us likes to go to prison? I hear young people say, yeah, fam, I do a stretch, you know. Yeah, if I have to do 10 years, I do 10 years. Here's a guy who's locked up in his bedroom with no telephone, dies. His mum takes his phone, puts him in his bedroom for 2 hours, he's ready to commit suicide. This guy's going to go into prison for 10 years. You know, some people just love to talk a lot of codsword, you get me? And I hate them. Yeah, fam, if I have to do this, you know, and I have to stab a man and go 20 years, I'll take it. You wouldn't take it, bro. You could do 24 hours. And we see them. These young guys that go to prison, they go to Feltham. What do you see? Tears in their eyes. Why are they crying? Prison is not a holiday camp. In youth culture today, prison is seen as butlins. Am I right? Everyone's like, nah, man, if I go fam, all the brothers will be there, I know people there, you know, we have PlayStation. People try to convince themselves that prison is normal. Prison isn't normal. Prison is abnormal. What's my proof that prison is abnormal? Because hundreds of people commit suicide in prison. We've had tens of hundreds of people commit suicide this year in prison. It's not just because somebody has a mental problem they commit suicide. It's some of the myths that people have. Oh, you gotta be crazy to kill yourself. No. You can be desperately lonely to kill yourself. You can be desperately upset to kill yourself. You can be anxious, you have anxiety to kill yourself. You can have depression to kill yourself. That's what happens to you in prison. Where yesterday you were with your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters. You were free, now you've lost all that liberty. And slowly it starts to sink in. That you're alone. And don't get it twisted, brothers and sisters. Loneliness doesn't mean absence of people. When you go to prison, there can be 3 or 4 people in the cell with you. It is you don't feel any relationship with those people around you. You're by yourself. And lonely people are people with depression. And when depression sinks into you, it's like a vampire sinking its teeth into your shoulders. You start to question, what's life about? Why am I alive? You start to convince yourself, you know, sometimes on the high road you see that guy walking, strutting his stuff, swinging his arms, swinging his legs. He's convinced himself he's Superman, am I right? He walks like he's Superman, he thinks he's Superman. Like in the old 1970s Indian films. In the Indian films in 1970, the guy would get shot with an automatic rifle and the bullets would bounce off him. Nothing would happen. People convince themselves. Depression is like that, brothers and sisters. Depression can convince you that the only way forward is to die, is out. And in prison, many people are depressed. Many people have convinced themselves, the first moment I get, why do you think in prison they don't allow young people, in prisons for young people, why aren't they allowed to have laces on their shoes? It can be a weapon without a doubt. But a young person in the state of depression is likely to use shoelaces to commit suicide. You don't need sophisticated material to kill yourself. That's a myth. One of the things that we are, alhamdulillah, ineffective at is killing ourselves. And many people have tried. So, in a prison, this is what it is like. But we as believers, we don't see this world as a prison because we realize it's a test. Muslims don't go around every day thinking, oh God, I'm in prison. It's so boring. Oh, it's so depressing. No, it's a test. That's why I look at Muslim countries or countries with Muslims. Suicide rates are low. We don't have high suicide rates. Where Western industrialized countries have some of the highest suicide rates in the world. Look at that. Isn't that a contradiction? Material development with the highest suicide rates. Material development with the highest rates of mental disease in the world. I went to the Gambia, I went to Africa. You see people just smiling, just happy, wearing rags. You come to this country, you see people with, what's it called, Christian batons, whatever they're called, red bottom shoes, worth £1,000, and they're never happy. You have people who wear clothing, the £100 top, £300 trainers, £100 jeans. They got money in the bank. They could do anything. They're depressed. On top of that, you have them with drug habits. There is a myth that taking drugs is just for escapism. Taking drugs is not just because socially I want to be in another planet. taking drugs is because you don't want to deal with your reality. Something's happened in your life. Some people call that escapism as well. But you don't want to deal with something in your life, so you want to be away. How many of these singers, famous and rich, look at Amy Winehouse. How old was she when she died? How old was Amy Winehouse when she died? One of the #1 singers in the world. #1 singers in this country. Multi-millionaire. Multi-millionaire. She was 21 when she died. Look at that. 21. With a long-standing drug habit. Look at that. Should a 21-year-old be dead because of a drug habit? Look at the famous guitar player, Jimi Hendrix. How did he die, Jimi Hendrix? Well, there's speculation about how he died. Officially, he died through asphyxiation. That was, he had a high from heroin, he vomited and choked on his vomit. And Jimi Hendrix, in terms of popular culture, he's at the apex. From Jimi Hendrix we get rock music. Much of the music that we have today goes back to Jimi Hendrix. Look at that. Look at Michael Jackson. How did Michael Jackson die? Talk to me, how did Michael Jackson die? Drugs. He used to take a chemical of, that you use in hospitals to help him sleep. Apparently his doctor went out, didn't check, when he came back, he died. How did Prince? We're talking about some of the biggest singers in our time. How did Prince die? Same thing. And the list goes on and on and on. The most wealthy, the most famous, these people have died. If you don't find a person who believes in Allah this last day, dying because of that. Doesn't mean we don't have depression, we do. Or anxiety, we do. Or people commit suicide, we do. But once you believe in Allah, it gives you something firm to hold on to have hope. And so we understand that this life is a prison for the believer, and the next life will be where we have freedom. And this life, for the disbeliever, is a paradise. Also look at us as Muslims. We are not free to go wherever we want to go because of our religion. Some countries don't allow us to practice our religion. Some countries in Europe, and this sometimes makes me think, alhamdulillah, of Brexit. If you're a Muslim wearing hijab, you can't get a job. What is that? Where is freedom, liberty and democracy? Where is that? Liberty means that you are able to live the life you want to live as long as you don't hurt anybody else. Where is liberty? Where you can't wear hijab to go to your job. Where is freedom? And this is one thing. But in the West, we fight wars. We go take over governments based upon freedom, liberty and democracy. Something we don't even have here in our own country. The Muslim world has produced some of the most tyrannical people in history. But even under those tyrants, people are allowed to wear hijab. Where we have countries of freedom, liberty and democracy, they're not allowed to wear hijab. Look at the hypocrisy. It's not freedom, liberty and democracy. It is tyranny and hypocrisy. That's what it is. Tyranny and hypocrisy. And so, we see that we are in a prison. Doesn't mean we despair, no, but we have hope. Hope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have wholesome lives. When you're limited in your funds, your finances, what you can do, it makes you become creative in how you can live your life. And Muslims, alhamdulillah, we are very creative in how we can live our lives. Also, we learn that this dunya, this material world, is a place of frivolity, of things which are not necessarily or inconsequent. Allah says, اعلموا إنما الحياة الدنيا لعب واللهو والزينة والتفاخر بينكم تفاخر بينكم تكاثر في الأموال وأولاد. Know that the life of this world is but amusement and diversion. Allah says, la'ib, amusement, play, folly, wallahu, things that have no consequence, things that are diversion. Lahu, divert you. this life is. And unfortunately, many Muslims are diverted. If the goal is paradise, estimate your lifestyle. Does it bring you closer or far away from Allah? Yes or no? If your work, your job, your family, your lifestyle brings you far away from Allah, you're diverted. If it brings you close or keeps you on track, alhamdulillah. But this life, the material life, is full of amusement. Young people always talk about, yeah, free time, free time, free time, free time. Am I right? The Muslim doesn't have free time. The Muslim is forever busy. If you're not producing something or being somebody who is beneficial to the community, you're busy in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no free time for the believer. Our young people, as I've started to say, we need to change our values. We've got the wrong value set. Those values which we shouldn't have, we see as important. And those values which are important, we see them as being irrelevant to our lives. We need to change our values. And so Allah says that. And تَفَاخَرْ بَيْنَكُمْ, boasting about what you have. Yeah, fam, I've got the latest this, I've got that, I've got this, I've got that. That's what this dunya is about. And تَكَاثُرْ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ, the person competing to increase in wealth. Especially people who come to this country. One brother is in America, the other brother is in England. The one brother sends 1,000, the other one has to send 2,000. One brother has a house, no, I've got to have 2 houses. Just competing with each other, what? In wealth. Not competing to see who's close to Allah. And you see this in Muslim families. You see in a Muslim family, 1 to 2 generations, Islam just becomes a culture. I remember in the 90s I went to a house, a Muslim house. When you went in there, you did not smell Iman. It looked like anybody else's house. When you go to a Muslim house, there's certain things that tell you it's a Muslim's house. It's indicative. Even if it's not that the shoes are left at the door. There's certain things that are indicative. And then when, it was because the daughter wanted to marry this non-Muslim guy who became Muslim so he could marry her, or she could marry him, should I say. And you see the family, everybody getting together, and it hit me. Here are people who are Muslim. They have all Muslim names, or Persian sounding names. Like Afzal, Pharaohs. These are all Persian names, but they're considered to be Muslim names, yes? But you look at them, you could close your eyes and listen, you wouldn't believe it's a Muslim house. You could look at them and you say to yourself, it's a Hindu house, a Sikh house, or a Zoroastrian house, or Christian house, just in 1 generation. Why, brothers and sisters? Because we lost sight. We became too busy with increasing wealth, bragging and boasting about wealth, and Allah ends the verse with تَكَاثُرْ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ, lots of children. Particularly in poor countries, having lots of children is seen as honor, especially boys. When you have lots of boys, somehow in the Muslim community, even if your boys are useless and worthless, it seems to raise you in estimation. Why do I say useless? They don't do nothing for the family. Why do I say worthless? They don't even pray. A Muslim who doesn't pray, what worth does the person have? To themselves, first and foremost. What worth? Where does your value come from? Just being a human being? Talk to me. There are millions of human beings on this planet that have the same value as you. What distinguishes you is your Iman, starting with your Salah. Starting with your Tawheed and then your Salah. This is your value. Your value not just to other people but to yourself. What you value for yourself. We find in many Muslim families, unfortunately, we ask Allah to help us and to guide us and protect us. You find the girls, alhamdulillah, upon Islam, but the boys are far away. And the parents, they massage the egos of those boys. Massage their egos, treat them as if it's okay not to pray. Who said it's not okay, it's okay to pray, not to pray? Who? Prophet said, Al-ahad bayna wa baynahum, the covenant between us and them is as-salah. فَمَنْ تَرَكَ فَقَدْ كَفَرَ. Whoever leaves it and is disbelieved. The majority of the ulama hold the person who doesn't make the salah while holding it to be obligatory as a kafir, as a disbeliever. This is the majority opinion, not the minority opinion. The minority opinion is the person is sinful. The majority opinion is the person is a kafir. For the Muslim, the issue is, I've got to be correct with Allah. The salah is not an option for you. Well, boy, if I feel like it today, I could do it. If I don't feel like it, I could leave it. Who gave you that option? Allah didn't give you that option. And we see the road that many of those young people travel. Ilm rahimullah. Bad friends, bad company, drinking, drugs, prison. Imagine that. A child disobeys their parents and goes to prison. And that child expects their parents every week to come and visit them. Isn't it? Your mom and dad said pray, stay away from bad company, do the right things. You ignore them and did the total opposite and you end in prison. And you want them to come every week and bring you chicken and rice? To send you money, to send you cigarettes which you can use as currency in prison? Does that make sense to anybody? It doesn't make sense to me. You got yourself in a situation, find yourself out of that situation. People love to blame their parents as if you have no agency, you don't have any choice. You have choice. I can come into this masjid and kill everybody in this masjid. Do I have a choice or don't have a choice? I have a choice. There's an evil man by the name of Dylan Ruth. Dylan Ruth is the guy in Charlottesville who went into a church and killed 11 people. They saw him outside the church, they welcomed him in, they gave him food, and he said, I've got to. I think now he's been sentenced with death by lethal injection. He had a choice. Up until that moment he had a choice. They brought, imagine that the people said, come in, have some food, take a seat. Church, not masjid. If it was a masjid I could understand. Church, where those black people believe in Jesus. Allah yahdina wa iyahum. They believe in a white Jesus. Church. They invited him in and he killed them. Did he have no choice? Or he had a choice? Had a choice. The man is the person who owns up to his mistakes and lives and takes responsibility for his mistakes. And so, my respected brothers and sisters, Allah warns us that this world is a world of amusement and diversion. Many of us are diverted permanently. Also, we learn that this world is a world of deception. Allah says, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَى مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. Know that the life of this world is but amusement and diversion. The life of this world is but amusement and deception, sorry. Here, al-ghurur, deception goes back to what? The arch deceiver himself. Allah says about the arch deceiver, O mankind, indeed the promise of Allah is true. So let not this present life, this world life deceive you, and not the chief deceiver deceive you about Allah. The word used here in this verse is al-ghurur. Who is al-ghurur here? Is shaitan. The worldly life is deception, and one of the chief deceivers of this world life is shaitan. How does shaitan deceive us? We learn a hadith that's been collected by Imam Tirmidhi, a fantastic and beautiful hadith which we should listen to. Ibn Abbas, he said that, the hadith is by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, sorry. And the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, it's been collected by Imam Tirmidhi, indeed, the shaitan has an effect on the sons of Adam, and the angel also has an effect on As for the shaitan, it is by threatening evil repercussions and rejecting the truth. Look at that. Shaitan has an effect, angels have an effect. How does the shaitan affect you, brothers and sisters? The shaitan affects you by making you reject the truth and do evil things. As Allah says, that shaitan threatens you with poverty and orders you to do immorality. Look at that. Shaitan says to you, boy, if you don't steal or do this or do that, you ain't going to have any money. Shaitan doesn't say to you to do good things, he says to do bad things. So the Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on the authority of Abdullah bin Mas'ud, that the angel has an effect and shaitan has an effect. What's shaitan's effect? To reject the truth. Come on, it's time to pray. Nah, man, I can pray later. You can't. Maghrib is close. Come on. Nah. This is our mentality, isn't it? So you miss Maghrib. Oh, I'm late. Let me pray with Isha. You get detained for Isha. So you miss Maghrib, you miss Isha. Next day comes Fajr. Fajr, yeah, I'll pray on time. You're just so busy with your game or something else. You miss Fajr. Especially during the holidays. So now you miss Maghrib, Isha, Fajr. Look at that. See how shaitan deceives us? That when someone says to you something, no. That's what, the first response, especially of young people. When you speak to a young person, the first word they say is nah. No. Rejecting the truth. That's what the effect of shaitan is. Then shaitan comes to you and says, you're not going to make money unless it's through haram. So many young people don't believe they can have a happy life through halal. Your dad does halal, your mum does halal, your grandparents did halal, but you, no, I can't do halal, I gotta do haram. I gotta sell drugs, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Oh man, I'm into my music. As one person said. As if you have something that somebody will give you a record deal. So they spend their life 24/7 building their record, their career as a recording artist for 10 years to go down the lane, and they get nothing and they've done nothing for themselves. Nobody's seen you except for 20 people on YouTube. And you've had more hates, thumbs down than thumbs up. Even though 20 people listen, hundreds of thumbs down. You're so terrible. This is the reality. That's what shaitan does. The effect of shaitan. But we learn, as for the effect of the angel, it is by his promise of good and believing in the truth. Brothers and sisters, the truth is something that we find hard to stand by. The truth can be difficult. For some of us it's a test. You'll find that the truth can make you poor. Standing for the truth can mean that at the workplace you're the odd one out. Standing for the truth can mean that when everyone else has favors you get nothing. But you have the truth. And this is what the Muslim stands upon, that principle of the truth. With the people of the dunya, they don't mind doing anything. Our Shaykh Muhammad Aman al-Jami, rahimullah, would always bring this example of a man who works in a workplace. He goes to his boss and he says to his boss, George, I'm going to pray Salatul Jummah. And George says, no prayer today. Friday is work. Pray on Sunday like everybody else. Shaykh Muhammad Aman said, this is subjugation. Subjugation meaning somebody putting their foot on your neck and holding you down. He said, the Muslim should never be in that situation. Never be in a situation where you're subjugated. Somebody is saying you no Jummah today. What, Jummah? No Salah for you, pray on Sunday like everybody else. Everyone else prays on Sunday, you pray your prayer on Sunday. Today, I need you at work. No. That is humiliation and degradation. And so the person upon the truth may face that. You may have to face being in a job lesser than what you are qualified, so you can pray your Salah. So you can have your Jummah. But that, brothers and sisters, it raises you, it doesn't bring you down. It raises you. Humiliation is when you know you're supposed to pray and you can't pray. There's some countries in Europe where you can't pray. When you want to pray, no, here in this building, no prayer. You want to pray outside. So you have to go outside in the bush, on the pavement, on the gutter somewhere to pray. That's humiliation. The Muslim response to that person is to stuff you and your job. Exactly as I said it. Take you and your job. Better that the person gets t-shirts for £2, goes to the market and sells them. Just about breaks even. At least that person, Their rizq is halal. And no humiliation. But look at us as Muslims. If a man says to you, no prayer, no salah, you can handle it. If he makes fun of you personally, with your skin color, whatever, we get inflamed. Or the type of clothing you wear, or how your children, your wife looks, you're ready to kill. Ready to leave the job for something personal. When it comes to something to do with the deen, now. Brothers and sisters, we need to reorientate ourselves and balance ourselves. What we have to learn as well, is Allah tells us about the material life, this dunya, that it is beautified for those who believe. Allah says, زُيِّنَ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. Beautified for those who disbelieve is this material world. The scholar Ibn Kathir, he says, and then the Exalted has let us know that this life has been beautified for those who disbelieve. Those who are happy with it. Happy with this life. This life for them is it, nothing after it. When you listen to atheists, what's after this life? Nothing. This is it. Many people in the dunya, they don't care. I ain't thinking about another life, fam. I'm just here now. They're happy with this life. And they find tranquility in this life. When they get lots of material things, there's an iPhone 10, he feels happy, tranquil. Nice house, nice car, nice. He's on top of the moon. And these people, they gather wealth and they stop the spending of this wealth in that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered from those things which He's happy with. Allah tells us to spend our wealth on the orphan. Spend our wealth on those people. Some of us, we come from other countries. You have people, can you imagine this, brothers and sisters? There are people who come from other countries, they've never thought to send £1 home to their family. Can you imagine that? They say to themselves, look, I made it, I'm here today, by my brains, by my knowledge and understanding, I made it. So if I can make it, why can't they make it? So I ain't sending them money. Let them work hard. They appreciate it. Look at that. We're the best of sadaqah and charities to your family. Look at that. They're like, nah, man. You have people who have parents. They never say, hey, the mum, hey, dad, I bought this cup of Costa or Starbucks for you. There you go. The person's working. They're making money. They never say, hey, mum, here's a box of chocolates. Why? Because I love you, that's why. Never. Can you imagine that? You're working, you're making how much? 5, 7, 800 pounds a month. You may even live with your parents. You never say to yourself, hey, let me get my mum some roses or flowers. Never think to yourself. That's how some people are. They're more busy with this dunya and this life of themselves. Life rotates around them. So we have to be careful, brothers and sisters, that we don't become negligent. What time we start to Maghrib, by the way?
8.
Okay, I'll go for a little bit, well, just a touch more. We learn.
10-2.
10-2. Yeah, I've got just 2 more. One hadith, one ayah, then I'll wrap it up. So we can question and answers and Allah tells us in the Quran, whosoever desires the life of this world and its glitter. It says, Man kana yurid al-hayat ad-dunya wa zinatuha. Whoever wants the life of this world and its glitter, to them we shall pay in full the wages of their deeds therein. So Allah will give them, those who want this material life, is what you're about, and its glitter, its loveliness, the phones, the cars, the men, the women, the houses, the land. Allah will give you your deeds in this life. You'll have it. And they will have no substitute, no reward in the next life. Look at that. Look at that. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, when the jizya, the booty started coming in, the Muslims were poor. The last khutbah I gave, I spoke about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his poverty. spoke about his poverty. The wealth started to come in. The Muslims started to ask themselves questions. They asked themselves, is Allah giving us our reward in this life for nothing for the next life? Look at that. They were astute, they were clever. Is Allah giving us everything in this life for nothing in the hereafter? Because they knew this verse in Surah Al-Hud. They knew it. And there are some of us brothers and sisters who are happy, content. Allah gives us more, I want 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 more. We never question ourselves. Am I getting everything in this life for nothing for the next? As I get more money, the less I pray. As I get more money, you don't see me in the masjid. As I get more money, the less religious I become. As I get more money, the less close to Allah I am. They never question themselves that this money is becoming a fitna for them. When they had less money, mashallah, they were in the masjid, they were close to Allah. Now they have lots of money, they're going far away from Allah. They never say to themselves, am I getting everything in this life and nothing in the next? So we have to be careful, brothers and sisters. Sometimes you may get everything in this life, and, millions in this life and pennies in the next. But for the believer, we'd rather have pennies in this life, which is a short life, and millions in the next life. Now, I'm not advocating to be broke, and I always have to have this as a footnote. No, I'm not saying that. Muslims, we should have our own businesses and be very productive in the community. But we should also understand the dangers of wealth. Wealth, as you see, a guy can be a rapper, multi-million today and bankrupt tomorrow. How did he become bankrupt? He wasted his wealth away. No barakah. Look at these football stars. Look at the football stars. 90% of football stars, when they retire, have nothing. Why? Can you imagine that? A man is making £100,000 a week. After tax, £60,000, £70,000 a week. And he retires, so he started football at a young age. He retires when he's 35, 40. So he's had a good 10 years of £100,000 a week. Millions. Where did his money go though? Where? Went on girls, went on chains, went on jewelry, went on drink, went on drugs. That's where the money went. Look at these boxers. Same with the boxers. A guy fights for a purse of 100 million. So if he loses some of these boxing matches, we seem to forget the bigger picture. So the guy Tyson will win, he makes 300 million. The other guy will lose, he makes 100 million, doesn't go home broke. That's what you think in your mind. The guy who loses the boxing match, he just goes home with a pat on his back. At the end of the boxing match, the winner comes in, hugs him, you had a good fight, man, I really love you, I respect you. That's what we believe, am I right? No. He goes home fat, pH 18. Goes home with 100 million in the bank. After his manager, his agent takes some money, he's got at least 50 million. Can you imagine that? 20, even 10 million pounds. How many of these boxers, after having millions of pounds, nothing? Where did the money go? No barakah. Allah gave it to you in this life. And sometimes He bankrupts you in this life, you get nothing in the hereafter as well. Look at that. Allah gave you money, bankrupts you, and the next life still nothing. That's why I have to be very careful with money. And so it brings me to our last hadith before we conclude. Our beloved Prophet told us in a hadith that's narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu and collected by Imam Tirmidhi, where he said, Ala inna dunya mal'una. Lo, indeed the material world, this dunya is cursed. Mal'un ma fiha, everything in it is cursed. Illa, and the Prophet make an exception. This dunya is cursed. The great scholar Sheikh Abdul Aziz bin Baz, he said that here mal'una means to be censured or something which is dispraised, bad. Dispraised, bad. What are those exceptions? The Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, dhikrullah, the remembrance of Allah. Wallahu, and that which follows it. Wal-alim or muta'allim, the student of knowledge, or the scholar, or the student of knowledge. Look at that. So these things are not cursed. The scholar, or the student of knowledge. And when we look at Muslim scholars, we find the more knowledge they have, the further away they are from the dunya. The more knowledge they have, the further they are from the dunya. Somebody like Sheikh Abdulaziz bin Baz, who was the Mufti of Saudi Arabia of his time, he died maybe 10 years ago. Sheikh Abdulaziz bin Baz, somebody would come and give him £1,000. He'd get a telephone call in Burma or somewhere, they need the money, he send the money straight away. He's well known. Money will come, he would give it. Somebody would come to the Sheikh and say, Sheikh, I have a debt of £1,000 that I need to pay or else I'll go to prison. He would ask the people with him, does anybody have £1,000 they can borrow me? His salary as the Mufti didn't go in himself and his family, just about took care of himself and his family, he gave it away. It's the ulama. So, the scholar and a student of knowledge. Maybe you'll never be a scholar, but you always can be a student of knowledge. We should aspire to have knowledge of our deen. Also, the remembrance of Allah. The remembrance of Allah, brothers and sisters, is not to be in a circle going, ooh. That's not dhikr of Allah. Dhikr of Allah is Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, all the supplications, prayer, all of this is a remembrance of Allah. And that which follows it, all those good and righteous deeds, these are the things that are not cursed, or dispraised, or censured. We should always keep this in our mind. Jazakumullah khair for being very patient. Well, I've gone over what, hour and 45 minutes, am I right? I do apologize. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah reward you. If there are any questions or clarifications, ahlan wa sahlan. If they're not, then we'll get ourselves ready for Salat al-Maghrib with Jazakumullah.